Hey, 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 good day, my Algebra 1 people. Today we're going to be solving proportions, all right? And we're on notes in 1-10. Remember to look at the top right-hand corner of your notes to figure out where we are at. All right, today we're going to do something super fun, so you just get ready. All right, so today I've already wrote your steps here, so hopefully while I was being goofy, you were starting to write them down. But our first step today is going to be to cross multiply. And I wrote a little example here. When we have a proportion, we're always going to have two fractions that are equal to each other. And what you're going to do, I think they call it the butterfly in junior high, but you're going to take the diagonals and multiply them. So here I took A times D, and I set it equal to whatever C times B is. And that's essentially what we do when we cross multiply. Because we're in algebra now and you guys are just so smart, now we're going to have to distribute when and if necessary, okay? So just pay attention, look for distributing, and I'll show you when we'll have to do that. And then you're going to solve your equation. Remember, solve means to move things from one side of the equal sign to the other. All right, so first things first, we're going to take 4 times 6 on number 1. We're just going to jump right in here. So we're going to take 4 times 6, and I'm going to write it here. 4 times 6, and that's going to be equal to whatever 3 times x is, or x times 3. Remember when you multiply a number by a letter, you just write the number in front of that letter? So this would be 3x. Okay, at this point, I'd probably take my calculator, do 4 times 6, unless you know it, which is awesome, 24. So you would get 24 equals 3x, and it's still, proportion is a type of equation to solve, so we still want to get the x by itself. So we have that 3 in front of it. Remember, that means 3 times x. So to get rid of that 3, or to move it to the other side of the equal sign, we have to do divide by 3. And what's happening when we divide by 3? 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 1x is the same thing as just x. So what's happening is that 3 just cancels out. So we get x, and then 24 divided by 3. If you need to put that in your calculator, no shame in that calculator game, and just put it in, is 8. So we get 8 equals x. All right, looking at number 2. Remember, at any point if you need to pause and stop and ask a question, please do so. Now, number 2 is where we have to start to see distributing. Do you see how on number 2 I'm going to do 2 times n plus 5? Well, anytime I have more than just one thing on anywhere in the fraction, I need to put that thing in parentheses. So when I do 2 times n plus 5, I'm doing 2 times the whole quantity of n plus 5, meaning that whole thing, all right? And then equals whatever I get when I do 4 times 10. Okay, so now we know when we see a number in front of parentheses, we know to distribute that. And that's where this distribution comes in. So we're going to take 2 times n, and we get 2n. And then we're going to take 2 times positive 5, and we're going to get plus 10 equals. And now we can do our 4 times 10. Hopefully we know that's 40, but if you don't, use the calculator. All right, and now we have a two-step equation to solve. So first we want to get rid of the 2 and the 10, but we can't get rid of the 2 first because it's attached to that n. So we have to move the 10. We'll say minus 10, and you get 2n equals 40 minus 10 is 30. And then again, we would divide by that 2 in front of that n. So divide by 2, and you get n equals 15. And that would be the answer there. All right, now we're going to look at number 3. Now number 3 is when we cross multiply, again, anytime you see more than one thing on anywhere in a fraction, go ahead and put it in parentheses. So put y minus 3 in parentheses, and we're going to take y minus 3 and multiply it times 5. Well, anytime we're taking a quantity or an expression and multiplying it by a number, we just write that number in front of those parentheses. So 5 times y minus 3. Okay, and then that's going to equal whatever we get when we multiply 2 times y. Well, remember when we're multiplying 2 times, when we're multiplying a number times a letter, it's just that number written in front of that letter. So that would be 2y. And now we can distribute if necessary, and we distribute when we see parentheses, so we're going to distribute a 5. Well, 5 times y is 5y. And then we multiply it times also by negative 3. So 5 times negative 3 is negative 15 equals 2y. Okay, well now we want to get the y's all on one side. So now in your last video, we told you to always move the smaller variable. Well, if you move 2 over here, that's fine. You can do that. But I want to move the y's to one side. Since 2 over here is by itself, I'm going to go ahead and move the 5 over here. So this would be minus 5y, minus 5y, and you're going to get negative 15 equals, now 2 minus 5, if you need to, because of that negative number that's going to come up, use your calculator. And I got negative 3, having to make sure that y is still attached to that negative 3. Okay, so once you get negative 3, that's your last thing to get rid of. You want to move it over to the left side because you want to get y by itself. So you're going to say divide by negative 3, divide by negative 3. Make sure you pay attention to those positives and those negatives. So negative 15 divided by negative 3 gives you a positive 5. So 5 equals y. And we're almost done. We just have one more problem to do. Make sure, guys, if you have questions over any step that I've done, that you pause the video, go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll come over and help you. So now, on your assignment today, you are going to have some problems that have two expressions. And an expression is where you see this 2k minus 3. That's an expression. Also, the k plus 9, that's an expression. So I told you, anytime you see more than just one thing on any part of the fraction, let's go ahead and put parentheses around it. Okay, and now we can cross multiply. We're going to take this 2k minus 3 and multiply it times 5. So we're just going to write that 5 in front of the parenthesis that is surrounding 2k minus 3. And we're going to set that equal to, we're going to do the same thing with 3. Put 3 in front of the parentheses, and then put k plus 9 on the inside. So now not only do we have distribution, but we have to distribute on each side of the equal sign. So we have to distribute twice. So we're going to take this 5 and multiply it times 2k, and we're going to get 10k. Then we're going to take this 5 and multiply it times negative 3, we're going to get minus 15. Then we can bring down our equals. Then we're going to take 3 and distribute it. So 3 times k is 3k. Then we're going to take 3 and multiply it times positive 9. 3 times 9 is plus 27. Okay, now we want to go ahead and get the k's on either side, and you can move 10 or 3. This one, it is probably easier to go ahead and move the smaller variable, so we'll say minus 3. But you do always want to make sure, as I'm moving this 3, I just want to remind you, you always want to make sure and to move your variable first, because if you don't, you're going to sometimes get some answers that look really weird and they're confusing to you. So 10k minus 3k is 7k. Minus 15 equals, these 3k's cancel, and we're left with this 27. Okay, now we just want to get rid of the 7 and the negative 15. I know I can't get rid of the 7 first because it's attached to that k, so we're going to say plus 15. So remember, you do the opposite now when you're moving stuff. So we bring down our 7k. Our 15's cancel. We're equal to 27 plus 15. Well, that's 42. And now our last step is to divide by that 7 in front of the k. So divide by 7, and you get k equals 42 divided by 7 is 6. K equals 6. All right. Well, now you have an assignment. Make sure you ask me if you forgot what it is. And I am looking forward to helping you all today.